Hello, this is Matthew Grant Johnson, and this is my presentation on German gaming through the lens of Crytek. Crytek is a German development company that, interestingly, has had a lot less success with their games in Germany compared to in other countries. And I want to talk about why that might be, and culturally why German gamers might not like their games as much as others. So first, let's set the stage. What's popular in Germany? Well, first, there's The Settlers, which came out in 1993, which is a strategy game, you guessed it, about setting up settlements. 5 years later, another game comes out called Anno 1608. It is very similar to The Settlers in that it is a strategy game where you set up settlements, but in the new world this time. Pretty interesting. But after that, 3 years later, comes out a game called Gothic in 2001. It is an adventure fantasy game that takes a lot from D&D. And then after that comes football, which has been around forever and will be around forever because Germany loves football. I don't know why, but they do. So let's talk about Crytek's origins. They're founded in 1999, which is very close to some of the games I just talked about. They're founded by the Yearly brothers, more specifically Kevin, Avni, and Furik. They started in Coburg, Germany, but later moved to Frankfurt in 2006, where they are still housed today. So, Crytek's first project was creating CryEngine. It's unclear whether they started work on CryEngine before or after Crytek was formed, because that same year they worked on a tech demo for CryEngine called Exile Dinosaur Island, which demonstrates the abilities of their new engine. NVIDIA saw this demo and liked it a lot and put it on their new NVIDIA cards at the time to demonstrate the capabilities of their software. This opens the door for Crytek to a lot of other companies to see them. So, Exile evolved. Ubisoft noticed Exile through this and liked it a lot. Ubisoft approached Crytek to make Exile into a full game. The official title upon release in 2004 was Far Cry. Now, it's important to state the sales of Far Cry. Far Cry in its first year sold about 750,000 units, but only 100,000 of those were in Germany. It wasn't a huge hit there. But in a lot of ways, it's very similar to Gothic, so it's strange that it wasn't a big hit. The really big difference that was between these two games is that Far Cry has a lot of guns and adrenaline rushes. It's, you could say, to make it a stereotype, very American. And Germany didn't really like this. And even today, in a recent survey, 2023, shooters didn't even make it to the top 5 in genres. So Germany isn't a fan of shooters. But continuing forward, Crytek was eager for their next hit after the success of Far Cry, even though it wasn't a huge hit in their homeland. So they make a deal with EA to make Crysis, which is their new idea, in exchange for the rights to Far Cry. I can understand why Crytek would do this, but it is a pretty bad deal overall, because the total sales of the original Crysis trilogy is roughly 10 million units, while the total sales of Far Cry's franchise is over 50 million units. I would think the reason Crytek probably did this is because in their homeland, their friends and their families and other local people are probably telling them Far Cry's okay. It's a fine game, but it's not great. You should probably work on something new. I mean, why would you want to make another Far Cry when it did just okay here? So I can see why Crytek would want to drop the IP and start work on something new. So after the Crysis, well, by 2011, which is when the final Crysis game came out, Crytek had several different locations, including Turkey, Ukraine, USA, UK, and Bulgaria. And they had USA, which they knew was their main targeted demographic at this point, working hard on a new game called Hunt Horrors of the Gilded Age. But money was getting tight, and Crytek couldn't afford the upkeep of all these locations due to some lackluster releases over the past couple of years after Crysis. So Crytek cuts budget and takes Hunt from their American branch. Hunting Trends. Hunt Horrors of the Gilded Age was restarted from scratch and renamed Hunt Showdown. Crytek wanted a hit, so they chased the trends, and even in 2014, the grip of PvP FPS was still strong in most countries besides, really, Germany. Since 2018, its official release, Hunt Showdown is often called Crytek's cash cow because it's a live service game. However, another crisis strikes. With Hunt bringing in a consistent cash flow, Crytek decides to start a development of their newest and greatest idea, or should I say their okayest and oldest idea, Crysis Again, more specifically, Crysis Trilogy Remastered. It received mixed reviews upon release, understandably, as most people joke, can it handle my PC? As the original ad campaign for the first Crysis was, can your PC handle it? Well, I can understand why Crytek would do this. They're trying to meet American or English-speaking trends while they're a German company who don't actually have a lot of interest in these games, as if you look at their development, it seems like Crytek's developers aren't actually super passionate about the games they're working on. So what's Crytek up to today? Crytek continues to update and develop Hunt Showdown, but is yet to announce any new projects beside Hunt. In my opinion, Crytek suffers from market demands, much like many other gaming companies have in the past. They follow trends that are outside their country, but it always seems to backfire as the development team are often less than passionate about their projects because, well, they're inside their country. They're German. They don't love the games that they're making. And as you can see on the right, there's a picture of Ghostface, who's just recently been added to Hunt Showdown, Ghostface is a very popular character in America, but not very much in Germany. So Crytek realizes they need to sell to their American audience if they want to make a profit. But I hope that someday, through the profit they make through these American games, they'll be able to make a great German game. But that's it for me. Thanks for listening, and I hope you enjoyed.